Good morning. This is Larry Green with San Juan Island's Community Network. And today we're talking with Nancy DeVaux, who has spent many decades working in the islands for the betterment of the community and has done recent work in housing. Nancy, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you came here to the islands, and some background information, please?
Sure. I moved here in 1975 when I was fresh out of college, just graduated from Huxley College of Environmental Studies. And my partner and I moved here because he was hired by San Juan County Planning Department. So we jumped right into long-range planning. What an experience to move here in the 1970s and be involved in trying to protect the islands. I was so overwhelmed with the beautiful environment here and the community. Having grown up in Washington State, I had never been to the San Juan Islands until we came here for my husband's job interview at the planning department. So that was in 1975. I came to housing sort of a roundabout way because for the first 25 years I was on the island, I was more involved in land use planning and protecting the natural environment. And I worked for Friends of the San Juans for 12 years. I was their executive director and worked from 1984 through 1996 with Friends of the San Juans. And then I went back to school, left the islands for a few years and got my teaching certificate and my master's degree in political science. And I was teaching social studies on the mainland when this job as the executive director of the San Juan Community Home Trust came up. And I knew about the Home Trust and I was concerned about affordable housing. I knew about community land trusts because Opal Community Land Trust and Lopez Community Land Trust had both started in 1989. And there was no such organization on San Juan Island at that time. And I now was a single mother and had the experience of having to move quite frequently. So I could relate to people who had a serious problem with trying to find a place that they could live on San Juan Island, that they could afford to live. And so I moved probably 10 times while my son was growing up on the island, and I was very sympathetic with the issue. So when the opportunity came up to apply for the job of executive director of San Juan Community Home Trust, I was thrilled to move back to San Juan Island in 2005. And the Home Trust had begun in 2001 and had one neighborhood already under construction at that time. So that's when I came on board and I worked for the next 12 and a half years for the San Juan Community Home Trust.
What would you say are the main challenges to affordable housing, Nancy?
Well, because the San Juan Islands are such a beautiful place to live, people have been moving here in increasing numbers throughout the recent decades. And because land values have gone up and because the cost of construction has gone up, it has become increasingly difficult for people who work for a wage on San Juan Island to be able to afford to buy a home here and sink roots here on the island. So cost is probably the number one challenge to creating affordable housing. So people who have to work for a wage on San Juan Island, it has become harder and harder for them to be able to afford just buying a lot or buying a house in town. It's all beyond the reach of someone with a average income, a wage earning income on San Juan Island. So it's become harder and harder. And people trying to solve the problem of affordable housing, the main challenge is raising money to fill the gap between what a working person can afford and what it costs to build a house. So there have been a number of strategies looking at how can affordable housing be created, and often these strategies are based on the subsidies that are available. Where can the money come from to fill the gap between what a low income person can afford or a moderate income person can afford and what it actually costs? And so back in the 80s, the Washington State Housing Trust Fund had more land or more funds available. And I think the community land trusts all used state housing trust fund dollars as subsidies to help create housing. Those funds have not always been available and have become less available over the years. So looking for other possible subsidies, the USDA, for instance, has mortgages for rural low-income residents. Well, Opal and the San Juan Community Home Trusts have primarily used those mortgages. And they also have a program for self-help housing, which is what Homes for Islanders has done. So Homes for Islanders, the other organization on San Juan Island that has built affordable housing, strictly uses that USDA program to fund its program. So what I'm saying is that people wanting to solve the affordable housing issue have had to look at what subsidies are available and kind of tailor a program around those subsidies. One great thing about San Juan Island and the San Juan County in general is that we have been able to raise money through private donations to help fund our affordable housing programs. So that has been a huge effort and success. About half of the funds for the home trust neighborhoods have come from private donors and about half from government grants. Well, because of the difficulty in having to raise money, which is really the big challenge for all of the affordable housing organizations, is the idea that these subsidies that go into these neighborhoods are going to be preserved for the long term. And that's where the idea of permanently affordable housing comes up. And all of the community land trusts in the county and nationwide, that is really their main goal, is permanent affordability. So what that means is that the subsidies raised that go into these neighborhoods stay with the homes over the long term. And the way that happens is by restricting the resale value of the home. So the homes that are sold are affordable to a low-income person, priced to be affordable, making monthly payments that are no more than 1/3 of their monthly income. And when they go to sell, there's a restriction on what it can be sold for. The restriction is determined by a formula. Each CLT may have a different formula, but the point is it can only go up in value a limited amount when it goes to sell. And that way these homes will be available to people who need affordable housing in the future. And that is the whole concept of permanently affordable housing. And that's sort of the main important goal of community land trusts and keeping housing affordable for the long term and long-term planning for affordable housing in the county. In 2018, the voters approved a home fund, which is a real estate excise tax, 0.5%, and it was in addition to the 1% land bank for conservation that we have in San Juan County, we're unique in Washington State, the only county that has a real estate excise tax for land conservation. And the way that the state law was written, it allows for this additional 0.5% for affordable housing. And again, San Juan County is the only county in the state that has the voters having approved it. So as of 2018, we have started collecting this additional 0.5% real estate excise tax. The first year, over $1 million was distributed to affordable housing organizations in San Juan County. The second year, right now, the County Affordable Housing Advisory Committee is reviewing the applications for grants for affordable housing that, again, over $1 million will be distributed this year. So we're really lucky in San Juan County to have this funding source for affordable housing. And one of the policies that is written into the plan for that fund is that they must be long-term affordable. We're not requiring, the county isn't requiring permanent affordability, but at least I believe it's 40 years that a restriction has to be put on, so that any money that goes into creating affordable housing is conserved over the long run. It doesn't go to someone who can turn around and flip a house and sell it the next year for twice as much.
The last question is really going to be about what you love and, you know, about living in San Juan County and the community and the environment.
Yes, I feel so fortunate to live here in San Juan County. And I did have the opportunity to go away for a few years. And when I came back, it was like the happiest day, I think, of my life, knowing that I was going to be able to come back here. It's not only the incredible natural beauty of the island, which does still have its hooks in me. I can't get enough of it, really. I go out every day and am just in awe of the beauty of the San Juans and the area around here. But the islands attract a certain caliber of people who also appreciate natural beauty. And I think there is a high level of educated people who live here, who care and have really worked hard to create a community that cares for each other. When I left, coming back here, it felt like not only, as I said, the natural beauty, but this is where my friends are. I don't have any blood relatives here on the island at this point, but my family of cohorts is definitely here, and I'm happy to spend the rest of my life here, I think.
So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Larry.